Okay, we're back and we're going to tackle user roles and permissions in this lab. Drupal has a great permissioning system. You can create roles and give different roles different permissions. You can give people one or more roles to control what they're allowed to do. So let's take a look at how that would work in Drupal. So let's go back to our sandbox that we've been working on, and we're going to go to People, Roles. And out of the box, we can see that Drupal gives us anonymous users, authenticated users, and the administrator user, which is a full privileged user. So we're going to add a couple new roles. We had decided we're going to have researchers on our site. So we're going to create a role called researcher, just a name at the moment. Drupal by default doesn't give a new role any permissions. You have to do that. We'll do that in a second. And we'll add a second role called editor that can sort of work on all of the research papers on the site as necessary. And just because I like it that way, we're going to reorder the roles in order of increasing permission from anonymous, authenticated, researcher, editor to administrator. So that was pretty simple. We now have two new roles. So now we need to go to the Permissions tab. And all we really want to do is we want to allow researchers to add, edit, and delete their own research papers. We want to allow editors to work on anybody's research paper. So we'll just scroll down through this long permissions table down to the node section. There's articles, there's basic pages, and there's our research papers. So create new content. We're going to allow researchers to do that and editors to do that. We'll allow editors to delete any content, but not researchers, but researchers can get rid of their own content. Editors can delete revisions, and we'll allow editors to edit any research paper content. Researchers can edit their own content, and we'll allow researchers to revert paper revisions, and I guess we'll let them delete revisions if they want. So basically the permissions table is this columns by row with permissions. As you add more modules to Drupal, new permissions will show up. So every time you extend Drupal with a new module, you're going to need to come into this table and figure out, given the roles you have, who's allowed to use the new features of the site that you have added. So we'll go down here and we'll click Save Permissions. And we're all set. As a test, we could go over to People, add a new user. I'm going to make it a research user. I'll just call it researcher for now. Give them a password. And I'm going to give them, this guy, the role of researcher. And I'll save that new account. And now if I log out of Drupal and let's log in as the researcher. Now we can see that I don't have that admin toolbar and I do have an add content button here. So since my permissions are much smaller and I didn't give the permission to the researcher to see the admin toolbar, they can only use this sidebar block to add content. But there it is, I could add a research paper. So that's how user roles and permissions work, pretty simple. And that's the end of this lab.